So now I wonder what's going to happen to Symon. If he's actually fine, or if he was running on adrenaline and now just like topples over. Yep.
Was my sword ever so heavy? Age is a persistent foe.
Yep.
Be strong, father. I shall get you treatment at once.
Serenoa, please. If I must go, at least it was alongside you on the battlefield.
It was nice that he was able to live long enough to help us out in a fight. But I feel like this is the time where he
I've
dies.
seen scores of soldiers perish, my son. Death comes for us all. Does it not, dear Benedict?
Forgive me, my lord. I could not keep you safe.
I beg you, give the three of us a moment together.
I will say, I mean, I basically figured this was going to happen. I mean, Symon had death flag written on him literally from like the time that he first opened his mouth, essentially. So, because there was always like, oh, he's not doing so good. Oh, he's going to pass on the lordship to Serenoa. And it's just like, obviously, you know, it wasn't going to turn out well for him. I do find it an interesting story decision, and I don't know that it matters. That, like, they could have had this thing of him, like, dying, like, a long time ago, and you would still have the emotional impact of, like, you know, it happening. But instead, the story was like, oh, we're actually just going to put Symon in a coma for, like, 8 chapters. You're going to, like, forget that he exists, and he's going to come back just to die. And it's just like, he didn't... None of that was necessary. You know what I mean? Like, he was a non-factor in the story for so long, and then he's only in a factor in one route that you can choose to go to, or be forced because that's what the game wanted me to do, just to have one last fight and then him, like, die. It's like they're trying to make it more emotional when, like, it really, I think, has the opposite effect. I don't know. Because, like, at this point, Symon has been such a non-factor in the story.
Erador?
So this is gonna be like a big emotional, like, dying thing. It's just like I'm not emotionally invested in this, which is like, it sucks. Like, I feel like I should be, but I think I would have been more emotionally invested if this happened like 10 chapters ago when he went into like a coma or whatever the first time. If that would have just been him dying, that would have had more emotional impact than this, I think. But I don't know. Who's to say? I guess not me. And of course, Patchat still gets to live.
Efforts are as dangerous as I feared. They must be wiped out for the good of all Glenbrook.
This also makes no sense. Patchat has always been one to just sort of like buddy up to whoever's in power, and we have shown that we're more powerful than him, and this is the one instance where he's just like, oh, actually, I hate them, instead of like, oh, I should try to, you know, use them for my benefit like he does with everybody else. It's just like, oh, no, actually, I'm just evil against specifically the Wolfords because, I don't know, plot reasons. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm becoming a little bit more negative on some of the game's like choices aspect, but I do feel like some of the plot is sort of falling apart, and some of the characters are not very consistent. And even though the world is very well thought out, I felt that the story has been kind of generic for a little while, where I don't feel like this is doing anything new. I do think that the game is going in really good depth and doing a good job of like world building, but I don't think the plot itself is like overly interesting. And I think the more that like I think about it and try to like point like why things are happening, the less it makes sense, or like the more generic it feels. I don't know.
There is no escape, Patriot.
Oh, okay. Is Anna gonna murder?
Tell me why a royalist like you would attack Lord Symon.
Yes. Why would you threaten to tear asunder a newly restored Glenbrook?
I would say Milo is really growing on me. I do like her.
Restored? Restored to what? The duchy killed your king and controls your land, and you've what, exactly? The collected ashes of the royal family? Those who joined the duchy thrived. Those who resisted were ground beneath their heel. The nobles and commoners have never been further apart, though beneath it all, they are bound not by the king's memory, but greed.
Perhaps. But we can unite them behind King Roland.
The weakest link of them all. The prince, who forsook his family, a ruler in nothing but name if the people speak true. The Wolford reputation stains him, and it shall be his undoing.
So that's your angle.
Enough slander.
You're blind to it, admit it. You rebuffed the Isfrosti army, curried favor with the Saintly Seven, protected Roland, and immediately installed him as king. You think yourselves above the high houses of Glenbrook, nay, above his majesty himself. Who would not want to rid themselves of such a stain?
I don't know that I agree with that.
You suggest King Roland gave the order?
Would he possess such rationality? We would not be in this mess if he did. Thus I decided to intervene. For the good of the kingdom.
So we need only kill you.
What it sounds like.
That is a mercy.
Alright, cool. Alright, he gets to die. That's good to know. I like that they had a little cutscene for it, I guess. And I like that Anna is just like the one to really just kill everybody that needs to be killed.
I'm about to tell you. I bid you listen well and remain calm. I am not your father.
Wow, what a twist!
By birth.
Okay, whoa, wait, this is a twist. Symon just pulled the anti-Darth Vader.
You are the blood of our former king, Ragnar.
Oh no. This is gonna put in some sort of weird, like, you actually are supposed to be the king.
What?
I don't know what that means.
I promised His Majesty I would hide the truth from you. Forgive me.
But also, like, why?
Destro was indeed your mother. That much was no lie. She was a commoner in the Crown City.
So the king had, like, an affair or something with a commoner, and then, like, wanted to hide it, because that's, like, a no-no. Interesting.
A woman of little means and low station, but possessed of unparalleled intellect and boundless affection. He would often sneak out into the city in disguise. Fate united them on one of those evenings, and they fell in love. Thus, you were brought into the world.
He wished to marry her, but her low station made that unthinkable. In time, the royalists found out and plotted her murder.
Oh.
So Lord Symon took her as his wife to keep her safe.
And so I was born the heir of House Wolford.
Sadly, your dear mother passed not long after you were born. It was she who named you. It was the one thing she was able to pass down to you. And now I leave you this.
The royal signet.
Okay.
Only one of Glenbrook's royal line may wear it. I was to keep it until the time was right. And so it is now.
I'm worried about what the story's gonna try and make us
Leave
do.
me completely unmoored.
Like, do they think that, like, Slyroh Noah and, like, Roland need to, like, fight for the, like, right to rule the kingdom or something?
What am I to do with this unspeakable knowledge?
I leave you with a heavy burden. This I know better than any. Be strong, Slyroh Noah. Forge your own path. Lead the people. Keep watch over him, Benedict.
I thought Benedict was retiring.
I will.
Dang it.
No, Father. Stay with me. Please.
All this and still, you call me father.
I mean, yeah. You raised him from literal birth. Duh. That's how it works.
My son.
Please don't go. Father! Please!
I will say, Cyrano's voice actor did a really good job with that. I still feel the emotions, even though, like, I don't care that much about Symon. But I definitely feel that Cyrano cares, and so I'm like, you know what?
So
I'm glad that we sat through that. That was actually pretty solid.
Wolford to protect the crown.
And we learned some information, so that was definitely not something I was expecting at all, so that is something.
Yes, he admitted as much himself.
I can assure you he acted alone. King Roland was not a party to the plot.
I mean, obviously.
That is fortunate, yes. But the mere fact of it could tear Glenbrook apart, were it to be made known. Lord Symon's assassination must be kept secret, my lord.
Yeah.
You would have me say his illness claimed him then.
I thank you for your assistance, Milo. Speak not a word of this to anyone.
I shan't. For the good of House Wolford.
Interesting. So, like, we have to keep the secret from, like, Roland and stuff?
I cannot fathom why he thought us to be enemies. We mean no harm to the royal family.
Misplaced as his fears may be, we must stand ready to defend ourselves, in word and deed, from any who may reach similar conclusions.
I do wonder, are there any of the royalists that exist now that know that Serenoa is, like, the son of King Regna or whatever? Because Symon said that, like, the royalists, like, plotted to have her murdered or whatever, but then, like, she wasn't, you know, as far as we know. But if the royalists knew then about that, then do any of them know that Serenoa, like, has relations to, like, the kingdom, which means that, like, do some of the royalists think, like, oh, Serenoa might come to try and claim the crown someday? Because that at least makes logical sense, even though I don't think that Serenoa would do that, at least not without some sort of... If Roland, like, really wants it to happen, then, like, maybe those two together could agree to let that happen. But Serenoa would not be someone to come, like, challenge for the throne or whatever. But if the royalists think that could happen and they don't want that, then I'm like, that's the only thing I can see, but I don't know. They didn't outright say that would be a reason why. That just kind of seems stupid.
King Roland himself.
You heard Anna. Roland didn't issue the order. What are you plotting, Benedict?
I seek only to ensure House Wolford's survival. Lord Symon was murdered. Other enemies may well be within our ranks as we speak.
Alright, if Benedict tries to get us and Roland to, like, fight each other, Benedict is dead to me. If the story tries to make Roland out to be someone who would actually fight Serenoa, this game is dead to me. Neither of those make any sense.
They must be stopped at all costs, no matter who they are.
Can I count on your continued guidance, Benedict?
Honestly, I don't know why you want his guidance.
Glenbrook's throne is yours for the taking. You have the claim and the might to back it up. Your Lord Father beseeched you to forge your own path and lead the people. Might you not best accomplish that if you were king?
Perhaps. But I would sooner fall upon my own sword than usurp the throne from my friend. The truth of my lineage does not leave this room. I shall keep it hidden along with this ring.
Yeah, I was like, you either need to pretend that this didn't happen, or you need to talk to Roland and figure something out. On friendly terms.
As you wish, my lord. I trust your judgment.
I come bearing a missive from King Roland. He requests your presence in the Crown City immediately. The Frosty survivors are on the move.
Ooh.
They leave me no time to mourn. Lead the way.
Is this going to be going, like, almost immediately into another fight? That would be interesting. It's not something this game does like a lot of, but it is possible. I mean, I'm sure there'll be a little bit of setup as to like what's happening, but it sounds like there's almost immediate combat. No, I'll save later. Go ahead, narrator lady, lead the way.
Roland, Benedict, and Frederica regroup back in the capital.
I wonder if we get to find out what happened in the Rosellan village.
But what they experienced while they were away could very well alter the course of destiny itself.
Oh, part 3. Okay, so maybe this sort of wraps up what the others did. I assume this will be a short part.
Is there something on your mind, Roland?
Serenoa, I do not know what I should do.
Did something happen in the capital?
No, that problem has been dealt with. I've made sure those damned royalists will never cause trouble again.
Yo, same. We did the same thing.
Was such harsh punishment truly necessary?
Of course it was. When they should have been helping to rebuild the kingdom, they instead profited off the people's hardship. And on top of that, they sought to string me up as their puppet king.
I understand, but...
You know what they told me? They said that is what Glenbrook truly is. That it must be ruled with the royalists' careful mediation between the royal family and their loyal subjects.
But what if it wasn't?
They said good kings need not think for themselves. They said my father and my brother understood that.
Well, you're the king
If
now.
that is true, you have the power to change it.
I tried. That is the entire reason I took the throne. But nothing has changed, no matter how many corrupt aristocrats I've cast out. This kingdom has always been broken. As Frost's invasion just ensured we could never put the pieces back together.
So I'm confused. He's like casting out all of those royalists, all the aristocrats. Like, who's taking their place? Other like rich people that are profiting off of poor people? Like, what? How is it a continuing problem? And also, how long has this happened for? Because we had a fight, we were summoned back here, and then how much time has passed between that and this? Like, how long was he doing this investigation and the royal? I don't know. Like, what do you mean you tried and nothing's working? Like, have you tried a couple days?
And people torn apart by hatred and greed. I cannot give Glenbrook what it needs, king though I may be.
Roland.
Apologies, my friend. I should not burden you with my woes.
You burden me with nothing. But if you are struggling...
All is well. Trust me. So long as you are by my side.
Yay, we got Roland back. I thought it was gonna be like Roland like somehow found out about like Sereno's thing. This is like, I feel like there might be a time where Roland just is like, I can't be king. It's yours to have.
Before we meet with the others.
Yes, please tell me what happened in the place that I wanted to go
I
to.
was led to believe the Rosellan village escaped all but unscathed.
Pray, look at this.
A book.
A book?
Hey, I said that.
We recovered it from a band of brigands. It once belonged to the Esfrosti archives. It was authored by one Orlea,
Ooh.
my mother. Inside is the truth about the Roselle. Nay, about all Norzelia.
That sounds important.
The truth? How would your mother have that knowledge?
The Rosellan people have long passed down the secret of the salt. My mother was a chosen keeper of that history. In ancient times, the Roselle lived in the southernmost reaches of Norzelia, in a place called Centralia.
Oh, that's so interesting. I don't know if y'all know what the real life Centralia is, but it's like a real life city that the underground is like on fire and it's like has been burning for like decades, and you like can't. It's sort of like the inspiration for like what Silent Hill is sort of used for. And I've also visited Centralia before, which is very fascinating. I mean, it was more like a field trip like 20 years ago. I was probably like elementary school or something, but like it's a fascinating place and a thing to look into. So I don't know if that has any sort of bearing as to like why this place is named Centralia, but like I do find that to be a fun coincidence or reference. I don't know.
It is said Centralia was on the shore of a vast expanse of salt water they called the sea. Back then, the Norzelia we know was at the bottom of that sea, but a cataclysm dried up all the water, and thus this land came to be. The salt crystallized and sank into the earth, the very earth we now walk upon.
Salt beneath our feet.
After the cataclysm, only one small lake of salt remained. War raged on and on as people fought to control it. The Roselle tried to stop the fighting by digging up a giant pillar of salt to show everyone the secret they had long kept. But Hyzant, whose power over Norzelia came from controlling the lake and the salt it produced, could not allow the truth to get out. They captured the Roselle, branded them criminals who tried to seize control of the salt for themselves, and confined them to the lake.
Yeah, this all adds up. This is kind of stuff we already knew, essentially.
Hyzant stole it and hid it inside the very statue of the goddess that towers over the source.
Oh, that is interesting. Because they've brought up the statue as being like something important, but like, I don't know, I guess I've never really thought that much into it, but that is crazy.
How can you be certain?
During the uprising, my mother broke the statue and recovered a fragment of the pillar within.
Oh, that's where that salt thing came from.
The salt crystal found in the Rosellan village. Incredible. If what you say is true, the teachings are a lie. This will shake Hyzant to its very foundations.
I don't know if Hyzant's gonna like listen.
And we would be able to free the Roselle from their imprisonment at the source.
I don't think Hyzant is gonna want to give up that power though.
With so much at stake, we must be careful in what we do now. Frederica, I would ask for more time to think this through.
Of course. I have every faith in House Wolford. And in you.
Alright, we got Frederica back. Alright, so we kind of got a glimpse as to what happened with the other two sides, even though I thought they would have been infinitely more interesting. I think what we got was also not too bad.
That is the extent of what happened during our various endeavors.
Yeah, and then we get to learn a little bit about what happened if we would have went to the other paths. So that's cool, I guess.
My Lord Father, the Royalist scandal, and the book that revealed the truth about the Roselle and the Salt. It is time we consider what we shall do to overcome these obstacles facing us.
I still cannot believe how quickly Lord Symon's condition worsened.
It is most devastating. Serenoa, did your father say nothing else to you? Before he
bade me lead House Wolford well.
I see. And we must all do what we can to help you honor that request.
Your Majesty, what do you plan to do about the Royalists who misappropriated supplies?
As far as I've been able to discern, those involved acted out of greed and self-interest. They must all be punished. Nothing less than exile from the kingdom or execution will suffice.
But there are those among them who support the Glenbrook line. Will that not impact your governance?
Perhaps. But to pardon their crimes would kindle the people's ire. We must make an example of them. To appease the people. To make clear the consequences of engaging in such foolhardy behavior.
Did something else happen in the capital, King Roland?
It does seem like it was a bit more serious.
Nothing you need concern yourself with. But I must say, I was shocked to learn of that Rosellan legend. Do you suppose the contents of that book could be true?
The part about their homeland, Centralia, that sits upon a vast saltwater sea? That of the untapped salt crystals beneath Norzelia? Or that, in order to monopolize the salt trade, Hyzant fabricated the Roselle's sins. That the pillar of salt Hyzant stole from the Roselle is hidden within the statue of the goddess? If any of it is true, it would turn everything we know on its head. It would mean the teachings of the Holy State are not but lies.
Didn't we already know this? I feel like we've already basically... We haven't proven it, but I feel like we all have kind of known this. This isn't, like, new information for us.
But we have already seen part of this legend for ourselves.
The crystal from the Rosellan village?
That crystal is a fragment from the pillar within the statue of the goddess. One my mother obtained during the uprising.
It fits perfectly.
Apparently, Lady Orlea penned the book detailing the legend for Frederica.
She did. She enchanted it so no one could open it, but left me the key to break the spell. This pendant.
I doubt a mother would go to such lengths to lie to her daughter.
Then we agree the legend contains at least a seed of truth.
Your Majesty, we have received word that the survivors of the Duchy's army are amassing.
Okay. I was like, oh, what kind of crazy twist happening now? I was like, this is what we knew about what's gonna happen.
What? Where?
At the Grand Norzellian mines.
Oh.
But we cannot be sure what they are doing. None of our scouts have returned.
Uh-oh.
Those frosty dogs. We will speak later, Serenoa. First, we must put down whatever the Duchy is planning at the mines. I need you and your people beside me.
Of course. We shall ready ourselves for the battle at once.
All right, all right. Is there anything else? Oh, meanwhile, inside the mines. Ooh.
Extraction is nearly finished. We've secured the amount we were told. Seems such a waste to just leave the rest.
Don't think Archduke Gustadolf gives two shites. Hurry it up. We need to be done here before Glenbrook catches on to us.
Sir.
What are they doing? I don't know what they're doing, but that is definitely going to lead into the next major conflict, I bet. Okay, okay. Yeah, the story definitely still has hints of being interesting. It definitely has some interesting stuff going into it. I don't think it's perfect, but, you know, there is still enough interesting things going on. So, I wonder what is inside. I forget if we even know what's inside the mines or not, because that was a big thing earlier in the story. And it seems like we're returning to it now. So yeah, I guess we're going to have to do with that. We're going to have to see what we do with this Salt Crystal and Hyzant. And I still don't know how this ends. I think this game is supposed to end within, like, the next, like, 5 chapters or something. So we'll see exactly how that comes about and happens. But, you know, hopefully it comes to a satisfying conclusion of sorts. I know you can get different endings, I think. But I don't know. I also kind of feel like I'm being railroaded down, like, one specific ending because my choices don't really seem to do much. So we'll see how it goes. But, yeah, that has been some more Triangle Strategy. Hopefully y'all have enjoyed. If so, let me know. I will see y'all the next time. So, till then, peace out.